So this is a 1022 that I bought about 9 months ago for around 300 bucks. And it's my squirrel gun. This is also a 1022, but this is a 1022 from around the late 80s or around early 80s or late 70s. Today I want to be expressing the differences between the two and the pros and cons of each. I'm sorry if the audio on the last clip was a little bit quiet. Once I got done filming, I looked and turns out my mic was not plugged in. Make sure it's plugged in right now. And so it probably was really quiet, but let's go on to the video. So like I said earlier in the video, in the beginning of this, the intro, that this is a 1022. Now, I bought this 9 months ago, I believe, and I paid about 300 bucks for it. It's just all stock. It did not come with a scope. I slapped this scope on later on when I got home. And it is 22 LR, as I said earlier, because all 1022s have LR. But it's my go-to squirrel gun, and it is very accurate. Today, I'm going to be comparing a modern production 1022 to a original 1970s or 1980s production 1022. Both of these are really good guns. Both of them are basically the same, except for cosmetic reasons. But overall, they are definitely the same rifle. Now, does the newer productions, are they just as accurate as the older ones? Yeah. I have a box, and I'll pull up a clip right here in a little bit. I'll throw it up right through here. But I was getting consistent groups of like this with my newer production 1022. And that was with CCI Mini Mags. That's what runs best out of my gun. I don't know if it runs best out of this, but that's just what I'm telling you now. So yes, the newer production 1022s is just as accurate as the older ones. Now, one thing that is really different is the internal parts. Now, newer 1022s, you have all these different cosmetic ways that you can get them as, or get for them. Like you can get chassis and make this into a like a P90, or change it into look like a 50 BMG. Now granted, those are about as expensive as the gun itself, so is it really worth it? Not really, in my opinion, unless you're rich or like a famous YouTuber. But, there's a lot of chassis, and that might not work with an older production. I cannot fully confirm if that is the case, but I do know that if you're going to put a binary trigger, which a lot of companies make now for the 1022, you cannot do it in these older production 1022s. They were just not made for that. One thing that is drastically different between both models is the stock. That's probably one of the biggest difference between the two. And the original 1022s had a walnut finished with a walnut polished finish, which looks very nice. The newer production ones has this cheap hardwood stock that is kind of ugly looking and does not feel good to the hand. This right here, this feels awesome in the hand and is very comfortable. And I thought this gun was pretty comfortable to begin with. But this stock right here, this original stock, is 10 times more comfortable than the newer ones. It's 10 times more comfortable, and it's 10 times more prettier to look at. One thing that's a big difference between these two rifles is actually some cost-effective stuff that they did with the newer productions. The older productions, the trigger guard, metal trigger guard, metal trigger, everything is metal on this gun. On these newer productions, to cut costs, they actually put plastic. So up here, right here, this little ring to hold the stock to the barrel, that's plastic. Trigger guard, everything like that is plastic. It is not metal. So that's also the reason why they actually changed the stocks from walnut to hardwood. Polished walnut to hardwood is because of it was getting too expensive to make mass productions of, so they had to change a lot of stuff so they could make some more. And this happened at around the 90s when they started doing this. Then the 90s was a very, very bad time for a lot of gun companies. One thing that is also different is that the newer production uses Allen key screws. I don't know the actual determination for it, but you have to use the Allen key to get these screws off. And there's one here for the barrel thing. There's one under here for the stock, main stock. And Well, actually, I was going to say right here at the butt plate, but the butt plate is actually traditional screws. So, that's the only traditional screws on this gun. While as the original production uses more traditional screws for the I don't know what that's called, but the clamp that holds in the barrel to the stock down here at the main stock screw and back in the butt plate. One thing to consider is that because the newer production has a cheaper stock, a hardwood stock, has a lot of plastic when there used to be metal in the original, the weight between these two is very much different. Now this one ain't got a magazine in it right now, so let me take the magazine out of this just to really compare it. That wouldn't make much difference because none of these guns are loaded, but we'll just get it the best chance. Now, this does have, they both have similar scopes. I believe they're about the same size. They're not exactly the exact same scope, but they're similar, so that shouldn't affect it. And I can already tell that this one is about 10 times more heavier than this one. That is one complaint, and about the only complaint I've heard about the 1022, and one that I actually do have myself, is that the originals like this are really, really, really heavy. When I was a kid and I shot this gun, I really did not like it. It was just too heavy for me. That's why I more or less opted to use the my Henry, because it was lighter than the 1022. With the newer productions, however, it is actually lighter than my Henry, and I can get up to it. And I actually do like that about the gun. It is 10 times more lighter. And also, by the way, these are both 20 caliber. These are both carbines. I should probably also say it in the beginning, but yes, they're both the exact same gun. Just one from the 70s and one from 2022, because it was a couple months ago when I bought it. Now, the stock, that's the only pros of the stock, is that it is a lot more lighter, but it's definitely not as strong as, say, the older walnut, because I've already tore a place off right here, I believe it was. Yep, right here, off of the stock from just using it, from cycling it, and I don't know, I guess my fingernails or something scratching that side, and a big piece actually broke off. So it's definitely, the stock's definitely not as tough as that walnut. They're both accurate, like I said earlier, and both will accept high capacity or standard capacity magazines. Now this is the 25 round magazine, so it is, legal use for YouTube or whatever. This is a 25 round magazine, and it will fit in both. As you can see, here is the modern day 1022. As you can see, it fits in there, and it's not getting out anytime soon. With the old fashioned 1022, it's the exact same way. Just stick it in there, it fits in there just the same, and it ain't getting out anywhere. It probably actually feels more stable than it does the other one. Another thing that's different between these two rifles is actually the mag release. This one, let me get my 10 round capacity magazine. With the original production 1022, the mag release is actually just a button that you press up and you can get the magazine out, and it just falls right out. With the newer production 1022, the magazine release actually has an extension. It is not that little button no more. It is actually an extended, and so you can actually get to it better. It's actually in the same vein as an AK style of mag release, so you can actually do an AK style reload, tactical reload with this. Funny story, I did actually post a short of me doing that, and it actually was the reason that my first channel, which link will be in the description to my first channel, to a video from my first channel, or in the comments, or the pinned comment, is that on my first channel, because this is my second channel, but I mostly do gun reviews from now on. My first channel, I did gun reviews, and I did a short of me tactically reloading like an AK-47 for my 1022, and YouTube did not like it and actually gave me a strike for it, and it actually what led to me getting banned eventually. YouTube did not like me at the start, and I think the reason is that video of me tactically reloading that short actually did pretty good and racked in around 10,000 views in around a minute or 5 minutes, which is really good for a start YouTube channel. It's what got me a lot of subscribers for my first channel. And then they banned me, and I had to make a second channel. And after they banned me, I made it where my first channel will be mostly outdoor content, hunting, fishing. On my second channel, I'm doing mostly firearms, knives, and other stuff like that related content. Anyways, let's go back to the review. Nothing else has really changed about this firearm. I believe both have laid down front sights, which I haven't laid my front sight down, which I probably should have since I got a scope on it. And I believe they both got similar iron sights. That's about it. Safeties are the same. Everything's the same. So mostly the big difference between these two rifles, between the modern day and the current generation of 1022s, is mostly just weight and toughness. These newer 1022s are probably, to be honest, don't have that much great high quality parts in them. Like I said, if they could make something plastic, they did, and if they could cut cost anywhere they could, they did, which was making a cheaper stock, adding plastic wherever they could, and just doing stuff like that. But thing is, though, it makes it lighter, and it doesn't affect the accuracy at all. This gun is still one of my most accurate firearms I have, so does it really matter in the long run? Well, no, it really doesn't affect it at all. It's just, I would actually prefer the older one myself, because it feels better. Even though it is heavier, it does feel better, and it looks better. So I actually choose the older ones versus the newer ones. But if you're out here on the mountains, like there is a lot around here, it might be more beneficial for you hunting with the cheaper, lighter, newer production made 1022s. That's all I gotta say about these things. Most of the stuff difference between these two is cosmetic. Ruger is, for right now, this might be outdated, for right now, is still the king of the 22 market. Anyways, I'll see you guys next time. That was just a quick comparison. Like I said earlier, the main difference between these two rifles is merely cosmetic and weight. They both have the same accuracy, and they both can accept the exact same magazines. The only thing is if you want to do some more cooler stuff, for example, put a binary trigger in a 1022, or if you want to put a more lightweight trigger, put any kind of different trigger, any kind of different internals, or maybe a little chassis, get a newer production 1022, because it will accept it, while the older ones couldn't have, because they wasn't made for it. So that's all I gotta say. Both great rifles. Which one do I prefer? It really depends on what I'm doing. If I'm mountain hunting, I want to take the lighter. If I'm going hunting for squirrel hunting in the mountains, I want to take the lightweight, newer version. But if I'm just in the yard plinking, or if I want to show off a 1022 to my friends, I will get the older production 1022. Because it just looks better. And at the end of the day, they're both pretty lightweight. I'm just saying that the newer production's a little bit lighter, but would I die if I take the older version that's just a tiny bit more heavier? No. So, really, it's just wherever you want to prefer. Do you want looks over, more, if you want looks and toughness over lightweightness and cheapness, then, and brittleness, I guess you could say. It's just whatever you want to do. Well, I'll see you guys next time.